Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Addison, whatever time you're listening, and thank you for joining us for our ASD Chat for All podcast. We have lots of fun and exciting things on the horizon for Addison School District 4, and this podcast allows us the opportunity to connect with our parents and guardians, families, and community to celebrate our students, their accomplishments, and so much more. Your hosts for this podcast are ASD4 Superintendent Dr. Nick Sutton and myself, Dean Constantopoulos. You interested in hearing more about what's going on in District 4? Come on in and have a chat. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us again for another episode of our ASD Chat for All podcast. My name is Dean Constantopoulos. I'll be one of your hosts this morning, and I'm joined with my co-host, Dr. Nick Sutton. You know, Nick, I got to say, so yesterday we had this really cool meeting where we got to talk about what we're doing with the new Innovation Center, and I'm really excited about the new things we're going to try.
I like the foreshadowing, Mr. Dean. I like it. Yeah, I mean, for the community members out there that have seen the renovated junior high library space, they understand what we're talking about. And for folks that haven't seen it yet, you eventually really will if you have the opportunity to check it out in person. I mean, Dean, it is neat.
It is, and it looks amazing, and we have such cool plans to go along with it, so everyone stay tuned for that. But in the meantime, we have an amazing guest with us today. Joining us is Susan English. She is the museum coordinator for the Village of Addison and the Addison Historical Museum. So, Susan, thank you for joining us, and welcome.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
Awesome. So let's hop right in. So we know who you are, but just in case anyone listening is unfamiliar, tell us, so who are you, and then how long have you been working with the Village of Addison?
Well, my name is Susan English, and I came to Addison a little over 6 years ago. The Village was hiring their first full-time paid professional museum person.
Yeah.
And I applied for the position and got it, and so I've been working for the Village since that time.
Very cool. So where were you before you came to Addison?
I've been several places in Illinois. I'm not originally from Illinois, so
really?
But I started out in Arlington Heights. I was the director there.
Oh, cool.
I left there and I went to Joliet, and I was the first director at the Joliet Area Historical
Well, that's
Museum.
a cool experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to do a museum from the opening day type of a thing. Then I was out of the field due to illness for a little bit, and then I came back, and I was at the Hinsdale Historical Society right before I came to Addison.
Perfect. So, and Addison, of course, is the best out of all of those.
Well, it has a lot of history.
Yes.
A lot of history.
Yes.
I love it. So how long has the Addison Historical Museum been around, and what are some of the cool things you can find there?
The Addison Historical Museum was formed in 1976. Surprise, surprise. The bicentennial was a time where people started to realize that
that does make sense. Yeah.
weren't preserving their history. The Village had formed a historical commission, and they had formed the Historical Society because they knew they needed help preserving the history. And so for the first few years, they were trying to find a home for a museum because they had started to collect all this historical
And it had to go somewhere.
documents and information. And so the first few years, they struggled to find housing for it. We used to be in the old Village Hall.
Okay.
And when they built the current Village Hall, they did not have space for the museum anymore. So that's when they acquired the Century House from a private owner, and then they actually acquired the Balzer House from the Balzer family and moved that and the coach house to the current location.
I see. So lots of history just in about the museum itself.
I was going to say I learned a couple interesting facts just in that. So it's like, what is one interesting fact, and I'm sure you can name a bunch, relative to the history of Addison that you're like, most people don't know this, and this is cool?
Well, current residents really don't know how much of a farming community Addison was.
Yeah.
And the landmark was the Heidemann Windmill. And
Interesting.
Mill Road was named after the windmill because you could see it from miles around.
I would guess 99% of people don't know that.
No,
that makes
kids
sense.
come to
I
the
certainly
museum
didn't.
and they're like, "Where's that?" well, it's no longer here, unfortunately, but back in the day, it was the landmark for Addison.
That's so cool. Well, thank you for sharing that tidbit. So I know that the Historical Museum has partnered with us over at ASD4 a bunch of times, and over the years to like provide tours for our kids and that sort of thing. So can you tell me a little bit more about that? And then also, what do you want our students to get out of visiting the Village and visiting the Historical Museum?
Well, I coordinate the second graders' visit to the museum and to Village Hall, and then they also go to the library.
Oh, nice.
Because they're learning about their community. So they learn about the history of their community. Then they go to Village Hall to see the seat of their village government, and they meet with the mayor and get to speak with him one-on-one.
Oh, that's exciting. That's cool.
And then after that, they get to go to the library and learn about what resources the library has for them as well. So they learn about being a member of the community, what that means.
Yeah.
We're
which is important.
we're so lucky and unique, and I've told people this, of how close all of these places are from the school. I mean,
yes.
that is out of the
Some
norm.
of the schools walk to the museum.
Yes, it's unbelievable.
They don't even have to take a school bus.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It really is just across the street, just a stone's
it really
throw away.
is.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So, and I know that. Oh, and you said also that they get to meet the mayor too.
They
so
get to meet
I'm
the
sure
mayor,
that's an
and
exciting
they get to
experience
ask
for them.
him questions.
Oh, I'm sure that he gets
so-
all the hardball questions.
He gets
from
all
the
the
kids,
hardball.
right?
Yeah, thank goodness he gets the hardball questions. Yes.
Oh, that's funny.
So I love it. So, this might be hard to answer, but almost in a good way. What part of the history of Addison or part of the Addison Museum do you personally love or think is the most interesting?
Well, what's important to me is to tell people's stories. And so I don't collect just for objects or for documents' sakes. So when someone offers me something for the museum, I say, well, tell me the story of the item.
Yeah.
What
Who
a
did it belong
thought-provoking
to?
response.
Seriously,
I really
truly.
like that.
Yeah.
So which story really comes to mind of like, wow, this is interesting?
Well, recently, a couple years ago, we had a family, and unfortunately, their loved one, he died in service during World War II. He's buried in France.
Gotcha.
They donated his Purple Heart medal to the museum.
Wow. Talk about putting things in perspective in a hurry of like
Oh.
the significance of something like that.
Yeah, it's just, he left a fiancée. It was just heartbreaking for the family to have lost one of their sons.
Yeah.
But of course, it was a common experience back in the day.
Right.
Sure.
And for them to share his story with us and to honor us with donating the symbol from the nation
Right.
for his service.
And it certainly gives a lot more significance to the object. Like it's to a whole new level because now you're able to connect it to a person in a
It's
story.
right next to
Yeah.
Yes.
pictures of him. So when somebody comes into, we call it the military room, they get to see Mr. Backhouse, and they get to learn his story of service. And then they see, he didn't see the Purple Heart medal results of his service, but his family, of course, did.
Oh, that's amazing. So, I love that there are so many powerful stories hidden in all these items. And so let me ask you this then. For somebody in the community that wants to take a trip to the Addison Historic Museum, somebody that is interested in hearing more about it, what is a takeaway or something that you want our community to know that is available at the museum? What's something that you really want the community to be sure of and to know?
Well, we're only open a couple afternoons a week, unfortunately, because I'm currently the only paid staff. But come June, we're going to get a second staff member at the museum.
Very
so
cool.
we'll be open more hours starting
Nice.
in June. And we'll also have monthly Saturday hours, too. So, and we are more than one building. People think it's just the building with the electronic sign in front. We do have
Gotcha.
also the Century House, which is a restored period house. It's where school teachers were housed by the Lutheran Church.
Really?
And so we have you can see an old-fashioned living room, dining room, kitchen, and bedrooms.
That is really
and learn how
cool.
people actually lived in the late 19th, early 20th century. And then we also have the coach house, which has more farming displays in the back.
Very cool. So if anybody out there in the community goes, wow, I'm sold, I'm interested, what's an easy way to reach out to you or the museum to learn more?
Well, you can check us out on the Village website, addisonadvantage.org. We're under the Visitor tab and Historical Museum.
Perfect.
Or you can call us directly at 630-428-1433. Or you can email us at museum@addison-il.org.
Love it. Love it. So, Dean, if there's anybody out there in Addison land that wants to talk history, talk school district stuff, or just see how Dean is doing, what's an easy way to reach out to you?
Best way to reach out to me is actually going to be through Twitter at AddisonSD4. Nick, same thing to you. Somebody wants to ask about the history or just what's going on in Addison.
Yeah, school district email like everybody else in Sutton at asd4.org, but I am also a big fan of Twitter at Dr. Nick Sutton.
Awesome. Well, Susan, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a lot of really cool information. I had no idea that there were such personalized stories to some of these items that are in the museum. So I'm going to have to go there and check it out myself soon.
Well, you're more than invited.
Thank you so much. And we really appreciated your time here. So thank you very much. And for everyone listening, stay tuned for next time. Thank you for tuning in to our ASD Chat for All podcast. Check us out at www.asd4.org, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts for more. We'll be back soon with another episode, so stay tuned.